Hi, welcome to another episode of Backstage Pass with Phoenix. And I have long awaited this interview. I've been so excited to interview our guest today. You've probably seen a lot of his films. I mean, he's well known for lots of different things, but he's a great director, a great cinematographer. He's got a recent movie that was called Escape from Germany. He's also worked on things like 17 Miracles, the Cokeville Miracle. Lots of films that you may have seen and been inspired from, and he also has a new film coming out soon, Raising the Bar. So we have TC Christensen with us today, and thank you so much for being here, TC.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you think it is as fun as I do because this is what I love to do. And we love hearing from people just like you so that we can learn behind the scenes of the entertainment industry and hear your stories, hear your advice for other people breaking into the industry. And so we're excited to have you. And I kind of wanted to hear how you broke into the industry. What made you chase this dream of being a director and cinematographer?
Well, I decided in the eighth grade that I was going to get into movies. I didn't know what that meant. In those days, there wasn't a freelance kind of a business really around here, but I just went after it. And when you're young and you realize what you want to do, I think it's much easier to just start tr marching down that road, and you find ways to get in. And I started making my own films, and I started in school. I went to the University of Utah and to BYU, and then I started helping other people make their films, and you just go after it, and then 50 years later, you turn around and you go, "Wow, hey, I had a career in this. Wow."
Wow. So, how do you people? We're taking some listener questions as well. So, thank you for submitting your questions. Um, how have you found success? Like, how do you make, this is asking, how do you make money as a director? How long does it take to make money as a director?
How long does it take? Uh, my very first film I made, I was able to pay back the costs of it. I think that the money side of it it gets there's a way that a lot of filmmakers approach it, which is what's hot, what will sell, what is this year dinosaurs are in. Let's make a film about dinosaurs. And my advice about that is I never care about any of that. I find the best story that I can tell. And I think if I have a strong enough story, which I mostly judge by, I'm just kind of an everyman. And I think if it, all right, good, that effect on most people. And so I make the best film I can out of the best story that I can and throw it out there. And I think your chances of doing are much greater. The money's going to follow.
Hmm. So that kind of goes along with this next question of how do you choose these stories that you
No, that's it.
turn into videos?
Well, I read a lot. I get sent scripts and books and so forth, and just have a memory of ideas and files of ideas. And I review them from time to time, and I'm just always thinking what would make a good film. And it has to be something that's doable. I mean, if I get the idea I'm going to make a cataclysmic film on the end of the world and explosions and then, and it takes place in the future in New York City and all that, that's very expensive to do. And so I avoid that. I have to find something because I don't have that much money to make my films, especially compared to you go down to the multiplex where you see your movies. You walk down that hall, this one cost 100 million, that one cost 200 million, that one's cost 75 million. I'm this little teeny duck in the pond, and so I have to be very conscious about, wow, can I pull this off? And while I'm yapping on that, I'm going to tell you about Escape from Germany. I put that off for years because I didn't think I could make it. It was too expensive. It's 1939 Germany. I don't have the money to just go over to Europe and say we're going to film it here. I've got all these trains and period clothing and uh, big train stations. Anyway, it took me a while really to figure out how I could pull that off with not very much money.
But you did it.
I hope I did it. Yeah.
So how, when you do have those restraints, how do you pull it off with little money? What kind of things do you do?
Well, you're trying to find local locations because it's way cheaper to film at home than it is to go away where you're paying airfares and per diem and hotel and all that for traveling people. So first thing is you got to really look around and find ways you can do it at home. And then I have to find uh, what what resources there are. And here in the Salt Lake area, we have up in Heber the Heber Railroad, which is a period railroad. They have train cars from past dates, and that was huge that I could access them and for, a reasonable price go up there and film for 2 weeks. We filmed with the Heber Railroad. That was and when people see the film, uh, unless they are really familiar with the railroad up there, they think, oh, that I went to Europe and filmed all of it. And part of that is because we did go to Budapest, Hungary for just a few days and got some shots of their trains and big train stations and things that we pepper in throughout the film so that people will feel like they're not watching a film that's just been shot in my backyard.
Yeah. Well, you've done so many different projects. I mean, The Other Side of Heaven also you worked on, right? That one's from several years ago, and
I was the cinematographer. Yeah.
for
Huh?
the second one. Um, some big names there. What has been your favorite project? Can you say?
Yeah, I like to say my last one was my favorite project because that, I'm a positive person and I want it to feel like, everything's going up. And that Escape from Germany film, really, once I kind of figured out a few things and we got past COVID, which was a problem, we were going to start it right when that started. And once we got past it and really started going and filming, I was around great people. We involved a lot of ancestors of those actual missionaries that evacuated um, Germany right before World War II. And it was just really, really a delight from start to finish.
Mhm.
Is that a
Wow.
good answer?
I mean, is it truthful? Is it honest? Is that really your
It's
favorite?
yeah, it's the truth.
Okay, wonderful.
I only tell you the truth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I only make true films. If you notice, I haven't made any fictional films at all. I like telling true stories. I think there's great power in a true story.
And it seems like you do. That's kind of your brand, is telling true stories, telling inspirational stories, telling stories that are from the heart and that'll touch people's hearts. And so
Yeah.
we want to continue talking about that and how you're bringing that magic to people. So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back here with TC Christensen on Backstage Pass with Phoenix.
Did you say Elmer Richards?
No, he was not chosen.
Not chosen. Uh, did anybody at Harvard or Stanford jump 6'3"?
The committee feels like he must be some kind of a hick fluke.
A hick fluke. He won.
So we just listened to a clip from the newest film from TC Christensen, Raising the Bar, the story of Alma Richards. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about that later on today, but we're getting the behind the scenes of TC. Oh, excuse me. He has asked me to call him Prince TC Christensen, Your Highness, Your Honor. We're
You
supposed
don't
to.
have to, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, most people, I'm so honored to be in your presence, and that is the truth. Very glad to have you on today. He's giving us all the behind the scenes of cinematography and directing. He's been doing this for I think decades, is that right for me to say you've been doing this for decades?
Oh, I've never done anything else. So
No.
I got out of college uh, almost 50 years ago. So yeah, you can say decades.
I love it. Well, you've been quite successful with your dreams, and it does sound like this is a dream. You were telling us how you have been really wanting to be a director and make films since you were in eighth grade, which is amazing that you've made this happen and that you've touched so many lives with your talent. So I guess we have a couple of audience questions here regarding casting and acting. So one of the questions is, well, I guess I don't know if you do your own casting. It says what do you do? What do you look for when you're casting?
I usually am my own casting director. Um, I I'm looking for, I have typically a preconception of what a character is like because I'm the writer of the script too. And listen, I'm telling all you, I do all these things. It's not Phoenix because I'm any good at any of them. That's not it. I don't have the money to hire people to do all those jobs. So I just do them myself and keep the costs down.
Mhm.
And so when I'm writing a script, I usually have in my head the type of character that I see this being. And very often I am writing with a specific actor in mind because I know most of the top actors in the Intermountain West, worked with them. And so I pull out their headshots and I'm looking and thinking who would be good for this and so forth. When we actually have casting sessions, I'm trying to determine if I believe that that person in front of me is somebody that the audience is going to believe is that character or feel a lot of that is just impression and feelings. But there's also, if somebody comes in and they're memorized and they know the sides, the uh, pages of the script that they're given, called sides, and if they come in prepared and know it, that's one good indicator. If they come in and they've got a piece of paper and the whole time, that they're peeking over the top of it, I can't tell if they're going to play the part or not.
Right.
All I'm seeing is a paper and seeing them read their lines.
Hmm.
So anyway, there's a lot of things that go into that, but I really enjoy the casting process. I had in Escape from Germany an actress from Idaho Falls that I'd worked with before, and she came and did a great job for us. And so there's my hometown connection.
Oh, yay! So we'll keep an eye out for her in that movie, Escape from Germany. And so you had mentioned, you've worked with these actors. So the typical process is, I think, casting directors, they go through agencies, you have the casting process. Is that how, when you're saying, I know most of these actors, is that how you typically do it? Is it go through the agencies and that's how you know them? Or is it kind of word of mouth? People kind of join your set and then you're working with them there and get a one-on-one connection, and then you kind of have your pool of actors that you kind of know. Oh, these are my people.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination for me of all of that. I do involve talent agencies. They send me people that they think would be good for the sides that I've sent them. Uh, and then a large number of the people I see are people that I specifically call and know and ask them to come in. Hey, you were so good in Cokeville Miracle or whatever. I want to see you again in this part. And I just, and quite a few of them are independents and not involved with a talent agency.
Oh, I love
Just
that.
kind of all works together.
I love that. Well, speaking of actors that you've worked before, this question is, uh, what things do you like actors to do when you're working with them that make you want to work with them again? So I guess this is more on set, when you're on set with them.
Uh-huh. Well, I like them to be punctual. making movies is expensive, and people that show up late show a disregard for that, and they cause the assistant director and his staff to be worried about them, and they're calling, "Hey, where are you? You're supposed to be here." Punctual is very important to me. And then coming prepared, so they know the script and they know their character. We've dealt with a backstory, and they're not just blabbing some lines on a page, and that they can say dialogue in a believable, convincing way. That sounds like, well, of course, any actor could do that. Not so much, really. And, we don't have the money to just go to LA and New York and bring in uh, acting or Screen Actors Guild talent. And so most of it is non-union. And there's a lot of people that want to do it and are trying to do it, but they're not there yet. And I have to be able to, you know, weed that out so that when we're on set, it's about filming and getting it and not about trying to make it happen and, deal. That's a waste of time. We have to be really efficient, and that having a good actor that can come in and go through their part really helps me.
Yes. I love that advice for actors, and I think we have some budding directors here too, kind of working with actors as well. The question is, how do you get actors to get to get the result that you want? I'm guessing this is kind of going with the process of working with actors. How much time do you spend with the actors? What kind of things do you do to to kind of massage that with the actors on set or off set? You kind of talked about making sure that they know the backstory and stuff. How much of that do you work with them?
Well, the first thing is it's who you choose. The my idol in filmmaking is Frank Capra. Frank Capra, most people know him as the director of It's a Wonderful Life.
Hmm.
And Frank Capra said that 80% of directing is casting. You get the right person in the part, and they'll just grab you by the nose and pull you right through the scene.
Yeah.
You get the wrong person, and you're just struggling with them. So that's really the most important first thing. You're the one, excuse me, as a director, you're the one that makes the decision. So it's your fault. It's not the actor's fault. If they're in, then you're the one that made the mistake. You got to accept that. Um, we try to have a quiet set. I don't like a lot of chaos. I don't like noise happening when we're rehearsing and so forth. We hold the work, and so that we create an environment as good as possible, because it's hard for an actor. They'll wait around for 2 hours, and finally, we call them on. Okay, sit down. Okay, here we go. Ready? And they got to be good to put up with that. It's not like theater where they can prepare and they know what's coming and what time it is and when they're going to enter. And so some people are really good at that and some aren't.
Right.
And that's part of my problem is trying to figure out who is good at it. Um, I try to talk to my actors about where they've come from to get to this point in what we're filming in the scene at that particular time, and so that they're not just doing their page on the script. They're a real person that has come from somewhere and has had these experiences that have led them to this place. So they end up feeling more real to all of us that watch their performance. And every actor's different. Some of them are way better on their first or second take, and you try to figure that out. And some of them need, let's do it again, let's do it again. And we sometimes do quite a few takes to let an actor kind of get into the role. Another thing that I do is I try not to do big scenes at the beginning of the shoot. because actors, they get into it after you. I can just feel it all the time. They'll come the first day and whatever, and I'm kind of struggling with them, and then I look back, and after a week and 2 weeks, and now we've been out shooting for a month. Man, they just slide into, they get it
Yeah.
after that time. So I try to do the big dramatic and emotional and those kind of more difficult scenes later in the shoot schedule.
Ah, that's great advice. Great advice for budding directors. We've got more questions from some of our budding directors, so we're going to take a quick break, but we'll answer those in just a few here on Backstage Pass with Phoenix. Okay,
And
one.
the prince.
And the Prince and Prince TC Christensen.
Did I just see what I thought I did? He's your teammate, bullies! I'd take him over the whole lot of you. No matter what else Richards is, he's an American. That's us!
That was another audio clip from the new movie, Raising the Bar, directed by TC Christensen. And guess who we have? Oh, Prince TC Christensen on with us right now. Yes, thank you. We're so honored. This has been such a fun discussion. He's been graciously giving us backstage stories, of course, and also some advice. And we're going to continue with some of this advice. We've taken some of your questions. I know some of you are trying to break into the industry. That's perfect. This is exactly what this show is all about. And maybe trying to make it as a director. So, one of the questions is, at what point did you feel like you were a successful director? Is there something that like launched your career, or there was a moment that you were like, I feel like this is success?
Oh, you're always hoping that it's a success. I judge success myself with a few factors. One is financial. Did the project that I put together pay back the investors and so forth and go on? That's one way. A second way is critical success, because if you're making movies, you're going to have people criticize you. And yeah, you have to have some thick skin, because it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get ragged on sometimes. And but that's a judgment, is, how did critics kind of perceive this? And then third, and probably the most important for me, is my uh, idea of it is, how do I feel about it? Am I proud of this film? Am I glad that I made it?
Mhm.
And so those three things are kind of jumbling around, and they're all topped by that last one. If I feel good about it, I've made some films that I knew weren't going to be as big as financial success, but I thought they were strong in other ways, and they were worth 2 years of my time making the film. And then when they came out and they didn't do as well financially and they didn't do as well critically, I still felt good about them.
So I guess I'm going to ask you another hard question. Is there a project you feel like has been your most successful by your standards?
Well, hmm, I I feel very good about Escape from Germany. I feel good about really all of my films, but just stand out as you're quizzing me about that. That's one, and actually, the Cokeville Miracle. The Cokeville Miracle, I say because it's a very strong story, but besides that, it was a very difficult story to tell, how to lay it out in a storytelling way, and not just this happened, this happened, this happened. And it took a lot of figuring,
Yeah.
and I felt good about what I came up with. And I'll tell you what I did is, right when I was getting out of college, I saw a movie called Death on the Nile, Agatha Christie story, murder mystery like she always did. And it jumped into my head when I was confronted with how I'm going to do the structure of how I'm going to tell the story of Cokeville Miracle, the way she told the story on Death of the Nile. And I just used that, what she did, as kind of a blueprint. And I felt like really worked terrifically. So that's what happens. Sometimes you borrow from other artists and so forth. And man, how did we start this? What were you asking me?
No, I think that
How
that
do
was
I
one of your favorite projects, right?
Yeah, favorite projects. Anyway, so to cap that's a project that I feel good about because it really took some effort
Yeah.
just to know how to tell the story.
Yeah. Well, what advice would you give to other budding directors, or what would you do differently if you could go back and do some of your previous first films? Is there anything you would do differently or that you would tell new directors?
Well, there's a zillion things I'd do differently, and that's every day as I'm driving home after 12 hours of filming. As on the way home, I'm thinking, "Oh, why didn't I think of that? Why did I do that? I should have done this." So there's thousands of things that have come up to in my brain that I wish I would have done differently. But they're all kind of smaller things. And the truth is, you're always going to have anybody's going to have that because there's so many decisions. My favorite director is who, Phoenix?
I don't remember his name.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, Frank Capra.
Bank
And,
Capra. Okay.
and Frank
Failed the
Capra
test.
said when he first got a job as a director, the thing that he was so just amazed with was how many decisions you have to make all through the day. Is the camera too high? Is it too low? Do you like this hair on the actor, or would you rather have it this way? Do you think that's too much makeup? Do you like this? You're just continually making these decisions that all come together and they make a difference where the film ends up. And if you can be the kind of person that can think on their feet and make good decisions quickly, you're way ahead. I did most of my career as a director of photography, working with other directors, and I worked with some terrific directors, and I worked with some that uh, you'd learn from them in ways things not to do. And one of the things I saw over and over, I decided I never want to do is uh, just put off decisions and just never, oh, I'll think about that later. And don't ask me that question now. And that kind of stuff. I want to be able to come up with a good answer quickly.
This is where I'm putting that skill into play right now, coming up with some good answers really quickly. Well, I have a lot of more questions that I could get to, but we are running out of time, and I definitely want to talk about the Alma Richards story. So I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and if we have time, we'll answer some more of your questions. But yeah, we'll be back here in a minute with Backstage Pass with Phoenix and Prince TC Christensen.
You've never high jumped before.
Only on the farm.
Well, you just jumped 2 inches under the BYU record.
Well, I'll try harder.
That was another clip from Raising the Bar, the new film from TC Christensen. He directed it, and he's here with us right now. Prince TC Christensen, right here. His Highness in his finest, right here, right now. And he's been telling us all about behind the scenes, his career, directing cinematography, also advice for us. And it's been such a pleasure. And I'm so eager. I know that we've been on the edge of our seats to hear about Raising the Bar, the newest and latest from TC Christensen. So tell us all about what Raising the Bar is.
Well, it tells a true story. I only make true stories about a young man from Parowan, Utah, who in 1910 went to school one day and they had a new sport called track. He'd never heard of it. And the new track coach came to him and said, "Hey, you're big. Why don't you come and try out for track?" He'd never heard of it. He didn't know what it was. 2 years later, Alma found himself at the Stockholm Olympics on the grandest stage of athletics in the high jump. And it's a sports story, but it has one of the terrific things that terrific sports stories have, and that is obstacles. He had so many things get in his way to keep him from doing a wonderful job and competing and winning and all that, and he overcame them. And I'm really excited about the film. I think it's a little different for me, but I think it's gonna find a good audience, and we're gonna be very happy we made it.
So what about the story where you like this needs to be told?
Well, it's it's a story about a person who um, has ideals and
Mhm.
sticks to his guns.
Mhm.
And I like that kind of a protagonist that shows us that, you don't need to give in to peer pressure, and you don't need to do what everybody tells you that you need to do. He had his own way of doing things. He jumped like a freak. He learned to jump by jumping fences around the farm. And he just did it in this weird way where he'd lift up his legs under his chin. And it's not aerodynamic or physically functional at all, but that's how he could do it best. He'd tell his coaches, "I'm sorry, I just have to do it my way," and he stuck to it. And people, when they'd see him jump, they'd say, "Well, he's not going to be any good." And guess
Uh-huh.
what? He was good. A lot of things about it that I think are good lessons for us, but
Right.
above all, it's an entertaining story.
Yes. And I've seen, and just in the trailer, I mean, you can see there's, beautiful cinematography. There's interesting costumes and people, so many aspects to it. I was wondering, as a director, how much of that do you have to know? Because people have asked me if I want to be a director, and I'm like, bossing people around, that sounds awesome, but I don't know how to do like lighting. I don't know how to do like, probably costuming. I mean, I could probably figure it out, the costuming part out, but I kind of like sew and stuff. So how much of all of the production do you have to know as the director?
Well, the more you know, the better, because then you can make better decisions. But that doesn't mean that a director has to be as good as everybody else on the set. That's why you hire these other people, because they help you with the set and the art direction and the costuming. But you have to have the taste to be able to say, no, you're kind of going off, you little into your own fantasy world there. Let's get back. I want you to do this. And let me say also, um, I want to make sure I plug my lead actor, Paul Wuthridge.
Mhm.
Paul is the star of this film. He was also the star of Escape from Germany. He's so good, I just can't leave him alone.
How did you find him? That was one of the questions. How did you find the Alma?
I I do a director's or an actor's workshop once in a while. I get asked to do it. It's not my workshop. And this is probably 7 or 8 years ago. Paul was in that workshop. And so I have usually there's about 10 actors that are in those, and he stood out. And I noticed him and I made sure I got his headshot, and I thought he's he's got several really good things going for him. And so then when I was casting Love Kennedy, I had a part for him. And then the next film, Fighting Preacher, I had a little bigger part. And then the last two films, he's the star of the show.
Wow. What's this acting class?
What is it?
Yeah, is it just something that somebody asked you to do?
Well, it's no, it's called the the actors workshop.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't remember the. I'm sorry, I don't know what the name of it is,
Come
but
on,
I
quick
do it
answer.
about twice a year.
Okay.
Uh,
Wonderful.
and anyway, I found quite a few actors have come out of that workshop because
That's wonderful.
then I met them that way.
Well, really quick before this ends, I want how do we watch Raising the Bar? How can we see it? How can we support it?
Thank you. I hope that it will be supported. Your folks in Idaho have been terrific to us. They were on Escape from Germany. This film will open in the Utah Wasatch Front area on April 24th, and 1 week later, it will be Idaho, Arizona, and so forth. So it will be in the local theaters where you are, and I hope that yeah, you can go out and see if you think it was worth our time or that we took to make the film, because I think it is. I think you'll like it. It's a good show.
Yeah, and be sure to go see it opening weekend. That's the best way to help these films. So Raising the Bar, go check it out. It's going to be in here in Idaho Falls, in Eastern Idaho. Check out your local theater. End of April, beginning of May, likely. So keep an eye out for that. Raising the Bar. You can also go to raisingthebarmovie.com and check it out there. Thank you so much, TC. This has been so wonderful having you and Prince TC Christensen. Thank you for being here
Thanks.
and
It's
sharing
all
it.
right. All
Yeah.
right. You're fun to talk to.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for listening to another episode. You can catch this and all the past episodes anywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube at Backstage Pass with Phoenix.